delight and relief for far-right supporters of Front National, as Marine Le Pen secures a place in the presidential runoff. Those here hope it's just a taste of things to come. A heavy security presence was in place at the polling station in Henin-Beaumont. A group of topless women wearing masks of Le Pen and Donald Trump briefly protested outside. They were quickly dealt with by police. Le Pen arrived by car to cast her vote. According to pre-election polls, Le Pen was widely expected to make it to at least the second round of voting.
Today, there is a decisive vote. That's the one for Marine Le Pen, as only that can change France.
Le Pen calls towns like Henin-Beaumont forgotten France. With high unemployment, many of the voters are disillusioned by French politics and have turned to Le Pen for the answer. But some here are not convinced.
I think people are afraid, and she is playing with that. And at school we don't talk much about politics, and I think that's a problem.
At a sports centre on the outskirts of town, supporters gathered in anticipation. And once news emerged that Le Pen had garnered enough support for a place in the runoff, the celebrations could begin.
This result is historic. It confers on me the immense responsibility of defending the French nation, its unity, its security, its culture, its prosperity, and its independence.
Marine Le Pen now has less than 2 weeks to widen her core support and demonstrate to the French electorate that she can be trusted with the presidency. Those here believe. The question is whether France can be persuaded. Dan Williams, CGTN in Henin-Beaumont.
Well, let's get to the very latest now on the French elections. We're joined by CGTN's Kate Parkinson live in Paris. Kate, as we were just seeing there from Dan Williams' report, of course, very jubilant supporters of Marine Le Pen over there, pleased at her success in the first round. But of course, that's not the entire story. Indeed, we are hearing that there have been some clashes in Paris in response to Le Pen's success.
Not just in Paris, in other areas across France, protesters took to the streets last night, violent clashes in some places, anti-fascist demonstrations basically. A lot of people not happy at all that Marine Le Pen, the far-right extremist leader, is through to the second round of the French elections. A lot of people are very concerned about what happens next. But I spent the evening at the headquarters of Emmanuel Macron, the independent centrist who is also through to the second round, and it was a very different picture there. Let's have a look at my report. Emmanuel Macron has won the first round of France's presidential election. Moments after voting ended, the projected results were beamed into his Paris headquarters.
We are very happy with this result. We fought for this. We have been behind Emmanuel Macron for months now, and we are really happy that it's ending like this.
He's going to win the second round. There is no question anymore.
Emmanuel Macron quit the government last year, formed his own party and ran for the presidency. It was a long shot, it was a gamble, but it's paid off. He's through to the second round, the French presidency now within touching distance. Macron has run a maverick campaign, positioning himself as neither left-wing nor right-wing and promising to modernise France. He's captivated the country.
My dear countrymen, today, Sunday, April 23rd, the French people spoke, as the country is going through an unprecedented moment in its history, marked by terrorism, economic challenges, social suffering of workers, and urgent environmental problems. They've responded in the most beautiful way, by voting en masse.
But the race for the Elysée is not over. Macron will face off against far-right candidate Marine Le Pen in the second round on May the 7th. He's expected to beat her, but a win for Macron is by no means guaranteed. Hoping to prevent a shock Le Pen victory, François Fillon from the Republican Party and Benoit Hamon from the Socialists, who are both out of the race now, urged their supporters to vote for Macron in the second round. Whatever happens next, the results of Sunday's election in France represents a major shake-up to the political landscape here. For the first time in the history of the Fifth Republic, neither of the centre-left or centre-right mainstream parties are through to the second round. What has happened instead is we have two outsiders competing for the presidency, and these are two very different candidates with two very different visions for the future of France.
Indeed, and in fact, whichever way it goes, history will be made in France. But Kate, the race is not quite over yet. There will be plenty to do in the next 2 weeks for Macron's camp, at least, to secure victory. Just talk us through the process leading up to the second round.
Well, for both camps now, the campaigning starts again. They've got 2 weeks to try and sweep up voters from the candidates that have now been knocked out and try and consolidate their support base. This is the reason that we saw, as I mentioned in my report, the two candidates from the Republican and the Socialist parties immediately jumping behind Macron. This is something that is expected to happen more and more in the coming days. Macron is likely to get some pretty high-profile backers. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear French President Francois Hollande coming out to say people should vote for him. Certainly other people from within the socialist government will likely call on voters to back Macron. What is going to happen is we're going to see the political mainstream in France trying to rally a Republican front, is what it's known as. Basically, it's an anti-far right front that will basically vote for Macron, if only to stop Le Pen becoming president.
Well, thank you so much for that update. Kate Parkinson joining us live there from Paris.